Hi, I'm Mark Punsock, and I'm going to talk about how we're going to achieve our Q1 OKRs for product strategy. Here is our OKR page. I've also got my OKRs as epics, and so this epic view shows everything nicely. The first objective is to get strategic thinking into the org, with the first key results being to create one interactive mock-up of the future telling a story that conveys our vision and strategy. So it's similar to how we've done in 2018, 2019, create visual mock-ups and then ultimately stitch them together into a clickable flow that highlights our strategy, and then we can use those in blog posts or at customer advisory board meetings, things like that. One of the challenges is that these kinds of designs are actually very difficult and time consuming, and they're not normally accounted for in our planning process. So I have to borrow design people to get this done. I am looking to hire a product strategy team, but that's starting from scratch, and the current budget puts the hiring later in the year. So that's another challenge. Hopefully I will work through that and get that hiring done, but it does add up to a bunch of challenges for getting this staffed. And then also another challenge is that this is just a completely new way of working with this dedicated designer. So there just may be some hiccups there. Obviously, dependencies, if I don't hire a dedicated designer, I'll need the design team helping out, and then maybe engineering product and product marketing for vetting and working with and making sure we've got the best story there. Dependencies, obviously, on hiring the dedicated designer. The next objective is to lay the groundwork for strategic initiatives. And the first key result there is to hire the product strategy team. So again, hiring at least one designer, but also, a designer and one engineer to form the product strategy team. Again, it's starting from scratch, and the current budget puts it late, so we have to work through that to get it done earlier. And then another challenge just is, and this is a new type of team, so there may just be some hiccups with recruiting and things, looking for full stack people and people in the same time zone, different requirements that might not be used to. Dependencies in other groups, obviously recruiting, engineering for peer reviews during the interview process. And then of course the budget planning process depends, finance, product, and engineering all getting together. Dependency on hiring, obviously stated there. The next key result is to cut down one moonshot into iterable issues and then deliver that first MVC. So this is, first step is actually for me to convert. I have another document with strategic initiatives and convert that into moonshot issues and pick a promising item, investigate it, scope it down, and then actually deliver something. Challenges, the product strategy team is starting from scratch. Again, budget has pushed it off, so that's a challenge. But even if we start recruiting right now, it's really a stretch that I'll actually be able to bring a team up to speed this quarter and deliver significant value. But I do want to put it on here, even if that does mean missing the OKR. I just want to, that is the goal, is to actually deliver value here. Another challenge, and this is just a completely new way of working, so there could be other kind of hiccups that are unforeseen. Dependencies in other groups, again, engineering for any kind of peer review and merging and triaging of the issues, and then some light coordination with product, hopefully not too much. This should be an independent team. Dependencies on hiring, obviously, is to hire the two people. This issue really is blocked by hiring the other team or that team. Last objective, it's actually for the Senior Director of Corp Dev, is to get acquisitions into shape and build a well-oiled machine. First key result there is to reach out to 100 prioritized acquisition targets. And so that's filter down the large list of potential targets down to the 100 most likely prospects and reach out to them, email, Twitter, whatever. We're going to get the list of targets from our existing data systems like DataFox, but also product feeds us candidates all the time. So that inbound product list. Some challenges. One obvious one, Elron's out for paternity leave for most of the quarter. So that leads us down to one acquisition lead. And then also just our filtering and filtering, and really the whole process is still pretty new. So there's a bunch of hiccups and hopefully not too much wasted time, but there could be. Dependencies in other groups, obviously product, we work heavily with them to identify what areas to go after and vetting companies and things like that. Dependencies on hiring, we could have a dependency on data engineer to really help us massage the data and be more efficient at our filtering. But we are looking to be able to do this even without that data engineer. We've got enough candidates. We can certainly pick 100 people or 100 companies to contact. Next key result is to create a system for ongoing monitoring of those 1,000 potential acquisition targets. There's a long title right now. I have a comment there to see if we can simplify the title down and just call it potential acquisition targets. But basically, those targets come from developer tools, developers, operations, security-focused companies, anything that's relevant to our stages. So leverage our existing tools. Again, we use DataFox today. We're looking at PitchBook and Mattermark or other places to grab large numbers of potential acquisition targets, then filter them down to ones that we actually want to track. And then over time, we actually are looking to add more information to help us filter down more accurately, and then also to resurface candidates as things change, like as they get towards being a soft landing target, maybe they're not doing as well, so let's get those signals in there. So some challenges: we have incredibly strict target profile, but yet an incredibly broad target surface area. So tons of companies that could potentially do something, but very few companies that actually would fit our acquisition target. Also, we're doing just a relatively rare type of acquisition strategy. So all the tools out there aren't really optimized exactly for us. I think we can still make use of them, so I'm confident in this, but it's not perfect, and that's why we might need to augment the data. So again, the data engineer, we do have a plan for data engineer, but the budget puts it out late. So we're trying to come up with a plan where that's not necessary. And I think, again, we should be able to track 1,000 companies without that right now. Dependencies and other groups, obviously recruiting for that data engineer, a data team for interviewing, again, the planning process, finance, budget, and engineering to actually see if we can get that data engineer earlier. Product, obviously, is a big one then for just scoping and vetting, what types of companies to be looking at. And the last key result for Corp Dev is to prepare a pipeline of and evaluate, prioritize strategic opportunities with feedback from product directors. So this isn't just about looking at all the types of companies out there and looking at the ones that are ripe for it, but actually identifying what areas we specifically want to go after, which ones would be particularly effective or more likely to get acquisitions, and then building out a profile of or a list of targets from there. One of the challenges is that most of our strategic opportunities are actually significantly outside of our target profile in terms of cost. But we do still want to look at those because there might be something that's actually worthwhile if it's really a strategic importance. Dependencies and other groups, obviously product heavily here, but then also finance just for generally evaluating opportunities. In this case, no dependency on hiring. So that's it. That's the walkthrough of how we're going to achieve Q1 OKRs. Thanks.